Today I'm in the heart of the Essex countryside to meet an outstanding nurse practitioner called Julie Scott. Now Julie won the Best Nurse Practitioner Award at the Essex Awards earlier this year, and I want to find out what it is that makes her so good at what she does, because she trains other practitioners, she has a really busy clinic. So come along with me and we will take a look around her clinic. We can ask her lots of questions and I hope we can catch her doing a treatment too. Julie is a really accomplished practitioner. She's the Nurse Practitioner of the Year, an award you won at the Essex Awards this year. Congratulations.
Thank you, Alice.
And you do the most lovely work. So I wanted to talk to you about how you came to be so focused on first skin and then injectables, because now you train in the area, you mentor people, and you have a very busy clinic here. It feels all incredibly nice and calm, but I know normally you've got people calmly proceeding through quite fast. So what brought you into this industry in the first place?
Thank you, Alice. Well, I think I was a plastic surgery nurse when I qualified as a nurse many years ago, and I did plastic surgery and I did kind of the serious side of reconstruction, patients that had big car accidents, maybe cancer. And I think that my 14 years of experiencing that really gave me a passion for skin and I guess body image as well. Sure. And then in my last clinical post, I was working in London for a group of surgeons, and they tended to do more cosmetic surgery work. And that's where I guess really started getting an interest in aesthetics.
Okay, because the thing is that back in the day, and I remember those days as well, it was nurses who did all the injecting, wasn't it? And this was where the whole aesthetics, non-surgical things started, wasn't it? The surgeons would be doing the major work and the nurses were filling in the gaps with the fillers, with the toxins.
My surgeons at that time would have frowned upon doing dermal fillers or neuromodulator injections. So it was nurses that actually were the pioneers in doing those types of treatments. A lot of nurses maybe coming into the industry think that it's more doctor-led, and that's simply not the case. There are a phenomenal amount of incredible nurse injectors throughout the country, some that I have huge respect for, and I think doctors would be, certainly doctors that I know and work alongside, have huge respect for a lot of the nurses out there because they have huge experience. So I think that there's a real mixture of doctors, nurses and dentists out there, but there's a lot of nurses out there that are doing some amazing work. I've learnt the art of communication. We have to be excellent listeners and we have to be good communicators. And I think in this industry there are so many things we can do, but as medical professionals we always have in the back of our mind, never do any harm. Sure. And you could do harm by psychologically planting seeds in patients' minds. So I always sit down and I make patients feel relaxed, they feel welcome, it's private, it's quiet and peaceful, and it's their time. And I never have a problem. They open up to me, and I think the easiest way is, what have you come here today for? What is concerning you? What's bothering you? If there's one thing I could start with, what would it be? And they open up.
Yeah. And then you were saying you will always let them go away and think about it.
I don't, absolutely. I think it's really important to have a consultation and start that journey just with a conversation. They leave with a lot of knowledge, and then we send them a tailored, bespoke treatment plan. And everything's transparent in that plan. And then when they do come back, and they come back and you know that they want to start that journey with you, you know that they are on board with you, and it sets the tone for a really long-lasting relationship, really. First of all, I educate patients because I think that a lot of patients will see a lot of things online and they'll do a lot of reading, but they come in with so many myths. So I think the first thing I do is educate the patient, and I do it in a really simple way. I talk about the layers with the patient. I don't bamboozle them, but I talk about how we age and talk about all the different layers, the 5 layers from the skin through to the bone. And then I talk about all of the treatment options, and I'm kind of an analogy girl. So I talk about a ladder. So I talk about the rungs of the ladder, and I say, look, we could start here, and that first rung might just be an SPF. Because you've got to respect people's wishes but budget as well, and you never want your patient to feel uncomfortable or kind of overwhelmed with what they can't have. So we talk about the rungs of the ladder, and I say, look, we could start here, we could just start with skin. And I'm passionate about just the skin alone. And then we could also go up the next rung, and we could talk about maybe a little bit of volume replacement to give you a bit of support. Then we could talk about maybe some skin tightening. We could talk about maybe skin boosters, bio-remodeling treatments. So some patients will just do the first rung because that's all that they feel comfortable, and they might go to the third rung later in the journey. Some patients will want to book up every single rung on the ladder and have a treatment plan for 12 months. So it's giving the patients the understanding behind why they can't have that with one syringe, but it's also allowing them to make decisions on where they can pitch and where they're going to get on that ladder.
And you mentioned skin tightening. What kind of skin tightening do you offer?
So we use radio frequency technology. So we have in clinic an amazing device called an EndyMed, using energy to stimulate your tissues to tighten in a non-invasive way. But on the platform, we can use it in different ways. We can use tightening, we can use needling to get the radio frequency in. So it's wonderful for patients that perhaps don't want to have injectables. And we use it also as a standalone and a combination treatment as well.
And then what would you move on to?
So I think one of the things is when patients come in, if they want to go on a real journey with you, I really want to get their skin into the optimum place that we can. And for me, that is really doing a skin analysis with our Observe analysis to look at their skin in real detail and show them their skin in a way that they've never seen their skin before. And putting together a bespoke treatment plan with their skincare, mainly Zenobaji, Zeo skincare, because of its active ingredients. I'm hugely passionate about that brand. And then I also like to bring them in for a course of bio-remodeling with Profhilo to really get that stimulation in their skin, get their cells waking up. We've been doing Profhilo for about 7 years in our clinic. It's one of our most popular treatments. Patients come back because their skin just glows, but it doesn't change them. It doesn't add any volume. It just gives them that beautiful glow to their skin. We've got a hydrofacial. So my lovely esthetician, Sam, so she does all of our medical grade facial treatments, pampers all of my patients, but has very, very, I guess, medical facials. So she'll use the hydrofacial, she'll put all of our patients under the LED, and I do sometimes after doing invasive treatments. And then obviously she does the radio frequency as well. We also treat thread veins. Everybody has thread veins. So we use a machine called a thermovane.
That's great, isn't it? It's
very clever. It's kind of quick and instant, very gratifying. So that's a wonderful treatment. And then we've most recently invested in ultrasound for our clinic as well. It will allow me to map patients' faces, so to be able to look where the arteries are, to make even safer. There is no safe treatment, safer treatment. So that's really nice. It sends another message to the patients. It'll also help us if we were to have any complications. It will help us manage those complications because, it's all well and good doing these treatments, but you have to be able to manage any complications if in the event. And then also if a colleague needs my support, colleagues do reach out to me from time to time if they have a patient that they're not sure and they feel that they've got a concern. It'll help us navigate with that as well. So ultrasound is quite new in the industry, but it's something that I wanted to invest in, so I'm excited about that.
It seems an increasingly popular tool.
One of the biggest compliments that I get from patients, and they put in reviews, is Julie, I love it, and nobody noticed I've had something done. So the feedback they might get is, you know, you look well, or have you been away, or I think I'm passionate about treatments should go unnoticed.
Yes.
You should always look yourself, but the best version of you. I think if you enhance too much personally, and it becomes apparent, I think that's a failing, in my opinion. And I pride myself on treatments that look, literally just go under the radar, but you look the best version of you.
Yeah. Talking of which, I'm slightly struggling with the idea that you have been in the skincare business for 30 years and that you've been injecting for 20 years and you still look sort of somewhere in the 35 plus. No, seriously.
Thank you,
Can I ask
Alice.
how old you are?
You can. I'm 52.
Okay, wow.
Yes. I think I have a lot to credit to give to a surgeon that I worked with, Peter Butler, Professor Butler.
Yes.
20 years ago, I'd been to Thailand and I had a tan. He dragged me into the office and scolded me, for want of a better word. And really pulled me across the coals and told me off and educated me. And from that moment on, I never tanned and started looking after my skin, using lots of active skincare on my skin. And I didn't have any treatments for many years, even though I was doing the treatments. And yet, of course, I do now. So I have neuromodulators, so I didn't want to kind of get those static lines. I'm very expressive normally, so I didn't want those developing. I still move, I can still look super natural. I'm a huge advocate for Profhilo personally. I've been having that for 7 years. And then I have dermal fillers, maybe my mid-face, maybe once every 18 months, just because I'm flattening through my mid-cheek, so a little bit in my mid-cheek.
Do you have any particular tips for neck maintenance?
Yes, I have kind of a whole little kit that I like to pull out for patients. So the first thing is I always encourage patients to bring all of their active skincare down onto their necks, apart from the retinol. That's really tricky. SPF, as you mentioned, and then if they want to come in and take it a little bit further, then I love doing RF, radio frequency, on their necks.
That's a great one, isn't it?
And needling.
It leaves you quite red for a bit, but
it does. It goes
but
down.
It works.
It works. It's fantastic. And then certainly, if patients are coming in for Profhilo on their faces, it goes down onto their necks as well.
How do you get it across that going gently is really key rather than going for the big result?
I think that it's important when I'm teaching and when I'm talking to, I think the first thing is if I looked overdone, overcooked, that would send the wrong message to my patients. And I think that's important that, you know, they can see me and think, okay, she looks quite natural. When I'm training and teaching, I think I always reinforce that, you know, less is more. You can always go back and put more in.
Very true.
And whereas it's a little bit more complicated to remove it. I think the other thing, Alice, as well, is it's really important, just from safety. It's about making sure that you don't overcook your patients. It's respecting that, you know, they're a mum, you know, or an aunt, or they're working with people. These treatments have to be subtle. They have to be subtle. And unfortunately, I think that we have gone a little bit too far the other way, and I'd never fall foul to that.
Yeah. You also mentor people who are just coming up in this industry, don't you? Now, how has that got started?
I think when I'm speaking at events, which I love doing, I get a lot of people come up at the end, and it's great because I've obviously inspired them, and then people reach out to me, and I thought, you know what, I actually need to share my experience, my 20 years experience in this industry. I have a lot to share. So that's where my mentorship we just recently launched, and I hope that moving into next year, it's something that I just want to be able to help nurture, and I do have a lot to give, and just kind of putting that together, and it will be very bespoke, it will be very kind of one-on-one, which is how I like to work. But I'm excited about that because it's an extension of, again, helping other nurses, other doctors out there kind of navigate their way through this industry. There's an awful lot involved, and it's not just holding a syringe.
So that was a quick look around the Facial Aesthetics Clinic and a chance to see the lovely work that Julie Scott is doing. Hope you enjoyed it.